Hi everyone, I'm Nathanael. I'm a practicing lawyer. Like Sam said, I specialize in the tech industry. A bit of my work also involves work in the startup, venture capital, fundraising kind of scene. So I've helped companies in their fundraising rounds, all the way to IPO. So some of the clients I've worked with include Razer, Central Ventures, Singtel for some of the tech stuff. So also a broad range of work. And I've done a fair number of startups, and thank you very much for having me here today, and I'm happy to share my experience with managing founder conflicts. One of the three common areas for founder conflict we see, the first is pulling our weight. Who has the responsibility to do what? Sometimes you have founders who quarrel, say you're not doing enough, why didn't you do this, I thought you're supposed to do that. How come I'm working till 1 a.m. and you are, clocking off at 9 p.m. These kind of things. So one common area of conflict is pulling our weight. The second area of conflict we see is in terms of operational strategic decisions. Should we take on this fundraising? Do we want to go into this commercial partnership? Should we pivot? Should I, down to simple things, should we use React Native for this language, or should we use something else? Should we launch an app or do a web platform? In terms of the operational growing the business, that's another common ground for conflict. The third area I usually see founder conflict is in leaving and exit. So when, maybe after a year, 6 months, founders are, I'm tired. One founder is, I want to leave. How do you manage that process? How do you exit in a amicable way which doesn't damage the company? Agree on the business plan and the budget. When making business decisions, I think startups need to be very, very flexible, right? The business scene is always changing. If you have a business plan with broad outlines, what is your budget expenditure, how long you plan to pursue this strategy, what are ancillary strategies you want to consider. Having a sort of a business plan upfront helps to give guiding principles what people can. I think lawyers obviously specialize in this, right? We draft things which we know are enforceable in court. That's the real value of a legal document. You want to be able to exercise that right, right? But ultimately, what you're looking for is really a subject matter expert. So even if you go to someone like Sam, who like yourself, who you've seen enough situations, he can advise you on the substantive stuff. But I think when it comes to putting pen to paper, you might want a lawyer to put the pen to paper. They include little details which will benefit them. So for example, you might have a clause where you can buy out the person for $1. Sometimes they try to sneak things in. So you might have something where there's a conflict, is legal, but at the point of signing, the other co-founder says, hey, I just signed this out of trust. I didn't read the agreement. Why are you enforcing this on me? So it might be legal, but from an ethical point of view, do you really want to start the relationship that way? But if you look at shareholders agreement and even founders agreement, you do have a lot of protective mechanisms. So for example, you have what you call a preemptive right. If I issue shares to one party, you must give the equal opportunity to the other party to be issued shares. Things like this. I would say as early as possible, engage a lawyer who can give you a cost-effective solution. Even if it's not a lawyer, work with people, experts. Speak to other co-founders. Understand the conflict, and if you can, write those down to reduce. Have everything at the start to reduce that conflict. So the first thing is to familiarize yourself with what are those market segments. Have a good gauge. This negotiation 101 if you have a good gauge of the market, you have a stronger position to bring for. So anything above market, you can negotiate down. First tip. The second tip is to know what you are happy to give and what you don't want to give. Right? Work with both commercial and legal experts who are familiar with the area, and then give you that credibility and confidence and comfort that what you're negotiating for is not what you're not asking for too much.
Yeah.
The third thing is don't be afraid to say no. I have advised startups where I told them, no, I think this VC is just, they're lowballing you, just walk away. And they have done it. And there are enough fair investors in the market who will recognize you for what it is. So Singapore has, in the last 10 years, have stepped up their dispute resolution processes, right? So it's not only just court. We have what you call a Singapore Mediation Center, where you can, you make a formal application to say, and obviously with mediation, unlike the court, two parties must agree. Yeah, so this was a very tough one. Because very honestly, even if you look at shareholders, very few agreements contemplate that. Nobody wants. It is a very unfortunate thing, right? So when this came to us, it was a legitimate legal question. What is the best way to solve it? And now that I've gone through one of these episodes, just to reflect back, what I thought would be good is to have a buyout mechanism whereby you allow one founder to buy out another in a result of certain things. So the two most obvious things we would usually say in the event of bankruptcy, or in the event of death, or in the event of legal inability to hold the shares, either because of mental incapacity or regulatory purposes. You never know, right? Maybe. So in that case, then you say, okay, when these occur, there's an automatic buyback or automatic mechanism to transfer shares.